I am so glad of how skeptical I am of anything that this administration does. I am glad that I will not give Donald Trump credit unless I am literally forced to, and then I won't, because this man has been parading around the past week saying that he is the peacemaker president, the ultimate deal maker, while Israel has continuously broken its ceasefire and he has been unable to move Putin because he is his puppet. And more has come out on Donald Trump's failure to secure any sort of peace, not only in the Middle East, but especially in Ukraine, with a meeting gone wrong between him and Zelensky in which Trump was swearing and screaming at him. This man does not care about peace. He does not understand foreign policy, and we are going to rip him to shreds in this video. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into this meeting between Trump and Zelensky that leaked, I want to start with what Trump had to say about Putin this morning.
Did you get any sense from Putin that he would be willing or open to the idea of ending this war without taking significant property from Ukraine?
Well, he's going to take something. I mean, they fought, and he has a lot of property. I mean, he's won certain property. If you say that, he's won certain property. We're the only nation that goes in and wins a war and then leaves, like we did under President Bush in the Middle East. We go in, we blast the hell out of everybody, destroy the place, and then we leave, Remember, I used to say, keep the oil. But I really didn't say, I said two things. I said, don't go in. But then they went in. And I said, well, don't go in, but if you're going to go in, keep the oil. But we didn't keep the oil. What do? We go in, we blast it to pieces, and then we leave, Doesn't make sense, never made sense.
Putin is going to get something, and why is that? What does Putin deserve? I don't get the what Putin deserves part. I certainly don't understand the giving him leverage either. Donald Trump talks about his trade wars so much differently than he talks about actual wars where people's lives are at stake. When it is trade, when it is tariffs that are so fucking stupid and don't work, by the way, it's these countries have been ripping us off for decades. We have to get something back for them. It's time for them to pay the price. But when Putin, a murderous dictator, is coming to the table, you give him leverage by saying, well, quite frankly, he's got to get something. He said I was a nice looking boy and he sent me a bouquet in one of those edible arrangements, but I don't do fruit, but I liked it, Vlad, thank you. It's idiotic. There's no part of this that helps Trump make a deal because Trump is uninterested in making a deal because he's Putin's bitch. Zelensky said it.
Does President Trump need to get tougher with President Putin?
Yes, and even more, because Putin is something similar but more strong than Hamas. It's more bigger war, and he is the second army in the world, and that's why more pressure.
Donald Trump doesn't need to get tougher. Donald Trump needs to understand the idea of toughness, which he doesn't. Donald Trump is weak. We saw it yesterday. 7 million people went out to protest Donald Trump because he is weak, because his term is collapsing, because Donald Trump can't fight all of us. Donald Trump can buy off the law firms, he can buy off the universities, he can buy off the media outlets, he can intimidate elites, but you know what he can't do? He can't scare us. I'm not scared. Fuck that guy. He can't buy me off. He won't buy you off. There is nothing that Donald Trump can do, which is why he is so furious with us making him look weak. And you want to talk about weakness? Look at Donald Trump during this negotiation. Look at Pete Hegseth right here. In the meeting with Zelensky and Trump and the entire cabinet, Pete Hegseth was wearing a Russian flag tie. Members of the Russian government, Putin's stooges, were celebrating it on Twitter. That is our Secretary of War. Our Secretary of Defense is wearing a Russian flag tie, and Russian government officials, Putin's stooges, are rubbing it in our face. Our government has been captured by Putin, by Netanyahu, and why? Because Donald Trump is weak. Donald Trump is ineffective. Donald Trump can't get anything done. He needs his hand held by Marco Rubio or Putin or Netanyahu telling him what to do because he is a buffoon. And it is why he blew up at Zelensky when he didn't get his way in a meeting that just leaked. Trump's private blow-up with Zelensky revealed Another meeting between Donald Trump and President Zelensky has reportedly ended with a fiery shouting match, this time behind closed doors. Trump was pressuring his Ukrainian counterpart to accept Russia's terms for a ceasefire during an explosive White House meeting on Friday, according to the Financial Times, reportedly telling Zelensky that Russia would destroy Ukraine if he didn't agree. Multiple sources told the outlet that the meeting, where Zelensky was hoping but ultimately failed to secure long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles, quickly descended into a shouting match with cursing all the time. According to sources, the scene resembled that of Zelensky's infamous Oval Office visit in February, where he was berated by J.D. Vance for not voicing enough thanks for U.S. help in the war against Russia before a shouting match ensued. Zelensky was also accused of being disrespectful to the U.S. for not wearing a suit and tie, and was reportedly all but forced out of the White House. This time, Trump demanded that Zelensky surrender the entire Donbas region to Russian President Vladimir Putin, sources said. European officials told the Financial Times that Trump repeated many of Putin's talking points verbatim during the meeting, telling Zelensky he was losing the war and if Putin wants it, he will destroy you. Donald Trump is Putin's bitch. Zelensky is calling him weak. He is refusing not to negotiate, but to allow Donald Trump to hand his country over to a murderous dictator who will only attack him again. Donald Trump somehow doesn't understand the lesson that he is on the other side of. This is the case when Donald Trump tries to intimidate a Republican, a university, a law firm, a media outlet, any institution. If you cave to the bully, you give him your lunch money, he will only come back hungrier, yet Donald Trump doesn't understand that with Putin. That this would not be the end, it would be the beginning. Putin would be emboldened. He would have the ability to build up his military again and then attack Ukraine. But Donald Trump doesn't care about lasting peace. He doesn't understand foreign policy. Donald Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize. That's it. You didn't win it this time, Donnie. You're not going to win it again, because you can't secure real lasting ceasefires. Right now, Israel is still blowing up Gaza in every conceivable way. They are killing, they are murdering innocent Palestinians as they continue their genocide and pretend that Donald Trump had any interest in lasting peace. It was never the case. They want to remove every single Palestinian from their homeland and build hotels with Jared Kushner, Donald Trump, and maybe erect a gold statue. There is no peace until the Netanyahu regime is done, until we end the apartheid state. Donald Trump is not after peace. We have to remember this. We have to point out how weak he is, and we cannot let the media prop up some fake narrative about a ceasefire that isn't actually here. There was no peace agreement. This was a PR move by Donald Trump. It is an announcement administration. They enact nothing. They announce. They do not enact change. They announce change. But nothing happens because they don't care about me or you. They care about propping up the ego of one man. It is an administration playing to a singular audience. Why can't the mainstream media get that? It drives me crazy that I have to do more advocacy for these people than they do for themselves. They will not stand up to the attack on the First Amendment. They will not stand up to the suppression of speech, not just in the media, when ABC agrees to pay $15 million because George Stephanopoulos rightfully called Donald Trump what he is, a rapist. And then when the AP is kicked out of the press pool, they just go along with it. They don't do anything. They don't stand up. And now they're being kicked out of the Pentagon, mainstream press, people trying to cover the failure that is Pete Hegseth. And why is this a story? It's only a story because Newsmax and Fox said no. It should have been a story from the beginning. It should have been a story from the beginning. We shouldn't have to do more to defend the mainstream media than the mainstream media does, and it just drives me crazy. It really does. But someone who is actually standing up for the right of the press, Rachel Maddow, Nicole Wallace, broke down more of what you need to know about what's happening at the Pentagon. This is such an underreported story, and I want to take a look.
We have some breaking news to tell you about on a story we've been covering here all week. Since we've been on the air, dozens of news outlets covering the Defense Department have left the Pentagon after refusing to agree to and sign the Trump administration's new demands that significantly curb access to and the ability to report on and cover that building, the Pentagon, and the men and women of the military. The people refusing to sign include Fox News, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's former place of work. A Pentagon reporter from the AFP posted this photo of journalists on the steps of the Pentagon after handing in their badges that gave them access to the building. A correspondent from Reuters tweeted this, quote, "The physical Pentagon bureaus of Reuters and virtually every other news organization are now officially closed. But we will continue to cover the Pentagon fairly and aggressively from outside the building, holding the U.S. military accountable." We're back with Rachel. I know you got everyone's attention, the world's attention, with your open a week ago Monday about how authoritarianism is here. It's not on the horizon. It's not something theoretical that you and I both covered in the months leading up to the election. It's not a question before the voters. It's what they have ushered in with the reelection of Donald Trump. And this is, you know, chapter one, shutting out the free press, shutting out access to the truth about the military.
Yeah, but this is also a really important chapter in what it means to stand up to authoritarianism. Nicole, we have talked about the fact that, you know, the people have been brave. Individual Americans, the people who you're going to see out this Saturday at the No Kings protests, the people who you've seen in every state of the country almost every day of the week taking some act of protest against Trump, those folks have been brave and principled and unafraid. The cowardice that we have seen has been from institutions, and that includes media organizations and news organizations, where we've seen executives over and over and over again make cowardly and craven decisions to try to appease Trump or please him in some way in the hopes that maybe that earns you another day of being allowed to operate at his pleasure. It's just been disgusting what we've seen from the most important and valuable corporations in this country and law firms and universities and all the rest of it. In this case, we've got all of those Pentagon reporters with their news organizations behind them standing up and saying no. We are not stenographers. We are not going to work under strictures where we are only allowed to write down what you tell us we can write down. That's not journalism, and we're not going to do it under those terms. We'll do it some other way.
We have to be talking about stories like this all the time. We can't let Donald Trump or Pete Hegseth define the narrative. I will not let them on this show, and I will certainly not let the mainstream media give Donald Trump credit that he doesn't deserve, and he never has. I promise you, I will always push back. I will always be skeptical. I will always call these people out. I'm going to shoot straight with y'all every single time. And if you want to support that work, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.